Want to start a podcast but don't have equipment nor money? Well, try out Anchor. Anchor is a free app that gives you everything you need in one place, which you can use right from your phone or computer. They distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. Oh, and didn't I tell you that it is completely free? That is the magic word, free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hey, this is Nicole Rose, and the Fret Sisters are back for season 2 of our Between Frets podcast. I know you missed us, and we surely missed you, so come along and join us as we dive into the second season of Between Frets.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Between Frets, a space where female musicians who played string instruments meet and discuss all things music. I'm your host, Jenny Jam, and we have a special guest, great guest today in our season 2 of Between Frets. We have Danielle Walcott, also known as Gudah.
Hey.
Gudah, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for asking. I truly appreciate it, man. I'm excited.
Definitely. Well, at first, I just want to congratulate you on your journey through as a student. And we'll get to more of that later. But I just wanted to personally congratulate you on just what you're doing right now. It's amazing. But I did pull up your bio. And very interesting. I mean, we can put the link up in the show notes. Okay. But I noticed that, which I didn't even know, that you come from a very musical family, and you have 7 brothers. I did not know that.
I have a lot of brothers. And just growing up, I've always wanted to be like them, because that's all I had around, so it wasn't until I was about 7 or 8 when I was like, you know what, I'm tired of having brothers. I asked my mom for a sister. She said, well, I'm not having any more kids. So she and my dad decided to adopt a family of children who needed a home, and that's how I got my sisters, and actually me and one of them, we have the same birthday. So that was pretty cool. So yeah. So it's a pretty big family. It's like 12 of us.
Wow, that's great. What did your father actually do? Like, was he a guitar player or a singer or?
Yep, my father played guitar and my mother played piano and she sang. So my dad, with all the boys, I don't know if he was trying to do a Jackson 5 thing or not, I'm not sure, but he's on the gospel end. They had a quartet group up in Jersey City, New Jersey, and they sang at quartet singings and programs and stuff. And then when I came along, I would just sit in the front seat and just like be in awe of just like, wow, this is amazing. So they didn't have a guitar player. So my dad played guitar and my brothers and them sang and played drums and bass. And then when I got 5 years old, that's when he was like, okay, she's going to be on the guitar. And that's how I started with the guitar in my hand then.
So so that was your earliest memory of music, which I just think is phenomenal. So you were interested in guitar and the bass. Did you have a preference?
Oh, yeah, bass came along way later. Guitar, yeah, my dad just kind of, he would have me up to 1 o'clock. Listen, I'm 5 and 6 year old, like 1 o'clock in the morning, like practicing like scales and stuff like that and I'm like, I just want to go to sleep. And I didn't appreciate it. And of course, most kids don't, as a parent, he saw something that I catch on quickly. So how I picked up bass was I was in college and I was playing for the gospel choir there, and they needed a bass guitar player. And I was like, well, I mean, I can try, and that's how I picked it up in college. So that was about 20 years ago.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. when you did start learning how to play guitar, did like your parents get you like instruments? Like what did they get you? Like what was your first guitar?
My first guitar was this blue Ibanez.
Nice.
Guitar, pretty blue. And honestly, guitar wasn't something that I thought I should be doing. I just thought my dad just gave it to me just to be, having a complete band. And I didn't really appreciate it until I became an adult, actually. But I did it because I knew how to do something with music, and they couldn't afford lessons, really. I think I took like maybe a year of lessons with this awesome jazz guitar player. His name was George, somewhere up in New Jersey, but it didn't last long. So I don't know, at that time, I didn't know I was a child if, lessons could not be afforded or anything. So everything else I've learned after that was by ear. I would just listen to, music. And I was one of those kids that sat in the house and listened to jazz, and I loved it. And my first time hearing jazz or really understanding what jazz was in 5th grade. My brother, his name is, we actually call him Bird. Bird actually was the drummer of the quartet band, but then he also played trumpet. And I was like, man, trumpet sounds so beautiful, man. And so I started playing trumpet in 5th grade. And my band teacher at the time, I guess he noticed that, Hope, man, she's actually pretty good. So I got the solo in Mo Better Blues. And that was when I was like, what is this music? And jazz is just like, got a hold of me, and I just kept going with jazz since then.
So was your first gig with them? Like, what was your first gig, really, besides doing like the recital?
Yeah, if I can remember, it was at church. We were at church in New Jersey, and my father actually, he advocated for his children to be involved in church musicianship and stuff like that. But they, most churches have their set musicians. They don't really switch out or anything, but he really pushed for me actually one Sunday a month or something, just to get that experience and exposure. So that was actually my first gig. My dad did everything for me. So he took the guitar out, set the amp up, did my presets and I didn't know any of that until like a couple of years ago, because he did everything for me. He was like, I got it. I just want you to play, So, and that was my first time playing. I played a couple of chords, and I can't remember the songs, but that was my first time. And I remember the dress that I had on, this hideous flowery dress that I had to wear. And that was my first time. But I would tell other people, if someone's doing stuff for you, please ask questions and learn what they're doing, because I didn't understand the importance of finding who what your true tone is and what your true sound is. I didn't find that out until I was way older.
I'm curious, how did you start realizing, oh yeah, I really am playing guitar and I'm really playing music, and then actually get right into learning chords or understanding what you were putting out there in the world as far as sharing your gift?
Man, when I realized, I knew from the beginning what music was, and I just knew when I wasn't playing it. And I'm a big live music. That's just what I like to go do for fun, just go out and listen to live music. I can be sitting there listening to someone else play, and I can just like close my eyes and imagine and feel myself. I'm like, I should be up there. I always want to be performing. So I always had that desire that music is a part of me, and whatever I played was music. But how I understood what music was more than just notes was when I started playing for a church, like actually, playing for a church. As an adult was when, people would just come up to me after the service and be like, you don't understand the gift that you had. And at that time I didn't, I was always, at the time, I just wanted to play and, feel as equal as the men. Times I didn't get paid and stuff like that, but I still knew people still came up to me afterwards to be like, you don't know what you did for me, or just other females just be like, man, that's a female up there playing and rocking and getting down and stuff like that. But I would be up there playing and I would just close my eyes and the tears start flowing. That's when I realized music is more than notes. It's actually ministry, and it can change anything. I mean, atmospheres, attitudes, moods. It can change. It can connect people. It can disconnect. It can do so much, you know. So I knew music is powerful, but I didn't understand its power until I really started playing for church. And I actually, even though I don't play church full time, well, I'll get into that later, but you know, church is not my only avenue of playing. You know, even I take that ministry everywhere I play, even if maybe a secular place or a club or a festival. You know, it's always a chance to minister to somebody. You know, it depends, because they feel what you put out.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is just so true about passion and feeling that passion, even like when you're down to like crying or tears, getting that emotional. I mean, that is just so beautiful when musicians experience that. When did you start getting into, I guess, secular groups or just different types of bands or music, or even as a solo artist?
It was always church until my probably second year of college in 2001. Someone asked me to play for a band. It was this, I was playing for the gospel choir at UNC Charlotte, and some of the members had a R&B group and they wanted me to play, and I was just like, I don't know, man, I'm not sure about this, because I just grew up in church, and I was even at a small church that told me that I was wrong for doing that. So I never really understood that. In growing as a believer in Christ, you know, that's all I knew. And when I was invited or asked to join an R&B group, and that's something that at the time my pastor found out, and, you know, I was just like, his words, you know, is very much sinful. And I was like, what? I mean, I didn't understand. Like, I'm doing what I love. I'm playing, but I actually stopped for a long time because I was kind of in conflict. Am I living right by, you know, church standards and so forth? And I just didn't understand until I really started growing myself in God and knowing what my needs are and the wants of the people. And ministry goes beyond the walls of the church, you know, and people connected in those venues as well. It's a ministry all over, you know. So if we only stay in one place, we'll never get to reach the masses. And that's what we are here and meant to do through music. So.
Yeah, and that's a good message, because I know that not most musicians, but I know I've heard that same thing about church versus playing secular and stuff. And I know I've heard it too. I'm not a church musician, but I've heard kind of like the same thing in a way. If you're playing church versus playing in a band, playing secular music that's not so Christian. So it's actually, it's actually good that you have that, you know, that you can say, well, here's my experience.
Yeah. And I just tell people, like, yeah, I know there's different type of behaviors in different type of places, and it depends on, and it really matters on how you uphold yourself and your integrity in the decisions you make. So, because people are watching, you know, people will see what you do. And my main goal and focus is, I'm like, I don't know who I can encourage today or who I can help today, but I have done it in many venues, and it's outside of the church as well. So,
you know, and taking back to the kind of style that you learned from playing church and then going into an R&B band, did that help, like the gospel chops help you with the R&B chops? You know what I mean?
Well, it is related. You can always pull from all type of genres to, you know, make another type of genre colorful, make it more interesting, especially when you're doing improv and soloing and stuff like that. I grew up as playing mainly just quartet, so it limited me because I couldn't get out the rhythm of quartet music, you know. But I would say the more you do it, the more you listen. A lot of times music is about listening, you know, to others, and that's why we have these greats that we look up to, and these amazing musicians and singers and artists. Listen. Your ear is one of your best teachers. Yeah, it's great to learn it on a page, but the page doesn't teach you feeling. And when you're playing R&B and rhythm and blues and so forth, they want to feel you, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta really listen and go to live performances, connect with other musicians that's willing to show you and help you grow, because it does take more than looking on a page or on a chord sheet and going beyond that.
You've been playing in different types of bands out there. Like, I know you hit some GoGo, being from DC.
Yeah, and I knew nothing about go-go music. I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey, but go-go mustn't make it up that far. But yeah, it took research. It does take research. As a musician, my goal in my journey right now is to get uncomfortable, because once you stop learning, you stop growing. And once you stop growing, it's like, okay, what's next? And I don't ever want to be to the point where I'm just like, okay, here's just another day I'm playing. I want to be like, man, I'm excited to learn something new, and how can I apply that to the next thing? Yeah, we actually, me and the ladies of the group and the band manager and the band manager at that time also had another go-go band that they've been together for about a little bit over 10, 11 years. And we all just took a trip to DC. Man, we took a trip to DC to hear some of the most amazing go-go music. And I'm like, jaw dropped. It was like, oh my God, like, this is so amazing. This is so amazing. But yes, it did take some research. So I would say, don't pass up opportunities. I would say definitely research and learn it. But yeah, you definitely have to know the style. You got to know the feel of it in order to connect with go-go lovers. And yeah, that was a cool experience.
Yeah. Trying to study a style and everything is always fun and keeps inspiring you. I want to take it to another part of your journey, which you're also an EMT, or part-time, full-time at once and part-time.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I've been an EMT for 12 years. Even though I played music, been around music my whole life, leaving high school, going to college, my dad and, family wanted me to be a doctor. I was a first generation college student, the first, so there's so much pressure, right? And you what is the most elite profession out there? And, coming from a, African-American family, there's no doctors in my family. There's no lawyers. When you look at those prestigious jobs and stuff. So I wanted to be, or I was told I had to be a doctor, go down the pre-medical field. So I did that, but I struggled. I am so good with hands-on, and I didn't do well in lecture, but lab, I got straight A's because I'm just a visual learner. I have to put my hands on things to learn. So even while I was in college the first time back in 2000, I still took some music classes just to stay connected. I knew, even though I wasn't doing it a lot, I knew I had to still stay connected in some form. So I took a intro to guitar. Even then I knew, I'm like, man, I know I can play, but I don't know what I'm playing. Not many people understand when I say that. It's like, I know what to play, but how is this constructed? I know it's more than just listening and playing. So, yeah, I went into the medical field. After leaving college the first time, I didn't know you needed patient care experience. Going to college is great, but many times it doesn't fully equip you when you leave. I learned about being an EMT. I was only supposed to do 1 year as an EMT to get about 800 to 900 hours of patient care experience so I can go to physician assistant school. And at the time, my boyfriend, he's my husband now, we got together and I got pregnant with my first son. So I said, okay, I'll just stay. The benefits are awesome because, hey, that's what I have to do right now. So I stayed, and that 1 year turned to 3. And then we got pregnant with our second child. So my baby girl at the time, I had a pretty rough pregnancy the second time. We almost lost her. At the time, I thought I was miscarrying, but long story short, I needed a lot of medical care. So I stayed longer to get those benefits from my job. So that 1 year turned to 12 years. And that journey as an EMT, I don't regret it. I'm telling you, I do not regret it. I used to think and look back like, man, how much further I would be if I would have done music the first time that I went to college. And but it just wasn't my time then. But it taught me the importance of living in life. And I'm like, as an EMT, you see everything. You see everyone's emergency. And that humbles you because I'm like, at any moment in time, their situation could have been mine. That could have been my loved one. That could have been my mom. That could have been my dad. And think about it, I've probably seen it. And it taught me how precious life was and how humble to be, and just like, man, that could have been me. That really, really could be me. So it as people say, I'm very cornballish. I can be very cheesy, but I'm telling you, why not? Why not, man? Life is so precious, and I take every moment to forgive quickly and love hard. I really do.
Yep. Gosh, definitely. And just the fact that you experienced all that, and I think it's just the path that you're being led to. I think it always is like, well, if I did this, maybe that could have happened, or if this would have happened. But I think that when you look at it, this was a path that you were taking, and now look, you're enrolled at UNCC, right? As a full-time student.
Yes.
And now look at your journey now. Like, could have that have happened back then? You have 2 kids now. It's just so amazing what's happening right now. Like,
yeah, you get a chance as an EMT. You touch all walks of life, from the richest of the richest to the poorest of the poorest. And that's what we really want to do, right? In ministry with our music. And we want to be able to touch everyone, you know? And I got a chance to connect with people that I probably would not have, being able to see things that I probably would not have on any normal day of just doing just something else. After my second child, I wanted to have a little bit more stable schedule, because as a paramedic, you work very long hours, sometimes 12, 14 hours, sometimes 24 hours if you pick up double shifts and so forth. And I said, no, I wanted to be there more. So I stayed with the company and I got a desk job, but I also worked part-time as a paramedic as well. So I was doing both, which added more. I was thinking I was making a transition for less, but it actually added more. But I was at the desk position in the billing department for 5 years, and I would just sit at my desk all day. And I'm a big believer of inspirational messages. So I had them all around my desk, because you already have so much of the world surrounding you with negativity and people in their drama and so forth. And I always needed to stay encouraged, because I knew what I'm planning to do is out the norm. Most people, you stay at your job for 30 years, you just stay there, you retire, and you on Social Security. And I'm like, no, it gotta be more. It has to be more. And I'm gonna look for more. So I'll be sitting there for 8-9 hours a day. And I said, man, if I had this much time to practice and sit at this desk, I'm like, how much better I would be as a musician. And I was like, well, how do I change that? And I was like, I need to go back to school, because I'm very grateful for all the gigs I've got. I love gigging. I love performing. That is like the best part of everything for me, is performing. But I perform and I play other people's music, and I listen to a song and I play. I listen to a song, but I said, well, how do I become the music? How do I learn how music is, written, in how to go beyond just what you see on a page, go beyond from what someone else played? And I knew I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the fundamentals and the foundation of how music is constructed. And I was like, I'm going back to school. And I've tried before enrolling in college, and I tried to reach out to other musicians to see if they can teach me and this and that. And I can assume what it would be, but I never got anyone to agree to help me. So I said, well, why wait on someone else to decide to help me? Why wait to be chosen? Why wait for someone else to decide my fate? When I said, I'm the author of my own life. I have the pen, and what am I going to write? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I said, in order to get better opportunities, and not even better, because like I said, gigging, I love it, but I wanted more. I'm like, well, why can't I not play for one day? When the first time Black Girls Rock came on, I was like, how do I get on that stage? And how do I play and make music for movies? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I need to understand and know how to communicate with musicians a little bit better. And I wanted to know the foundation and the structure of music. And actually, that's one of the first courses in college, is the fundamentals and structure of music theory. And me and my husband sat down, we looked at all our bills and stuff like that, because I didn't feel comfortable leaving him 100% financially responsible for everything. As a wife and as a spouse and a partner in life, I want to be considerate. And why would I put that much pressure on him when I'm like, if he's not mentally here and just always working just to get bills paid, I'm like, well, that's not fair. So we planned. So we did both work overtime. We paid off 2 cars, I think 4 months. And we got our bills to where we was like, man, we got more than enough with one paycheck. And he don't have to stress himself and overwork himself and so forth. And it worked. So I gave him my 2 weeks notice. I never told him because I told certain people. But when I decided to finally give my 2 weeks notice, everybody's like, oh my God, what you going back to school for? Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be? I said, no, I'm going to be a musician. And I want to be a full-time musician. I want to be a full-time guitarist. I want to be a full-time everything in music. And people's like, oh. And I'm like, at first, now that could discourage you because people are like, oh, like for music? Like, yes, for music. And that's what I was afraid of, just telling too many people too early because I didn't want to get discouraged. I didn't want to get off my path and my journey of what I know in my heart I need to do. And I said, we're so used to being comfortable and complacent because it is easy that way. It is easy that way. But I said, how far can God take me doing the things that he gave me? He gave me this talent for music, this gift and this passion, this love. Like, where can he take me with it? And I decided to go. I decided to go. So I applied. I took a month before auditions at UNC Charlotte. I didn't know I needed to play classical music and I knew nothing about classical guitar. So I got in touch with one of the instructors from the university and he gave me a month of classical guitar lessons so I can pass my audition. And that was my transition into going back to school and leaving my job full-time, still working it part-time, but I'm actually deciding today to give in my resignation and become a full-time musician. So
breaking news.
Oh my God.
Breaking news. That's awesome. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Between Frets after these messages.
What is good, everybody? This is Shawn Marshall from Fret Sisters. Make sure you follow us on social media in IG, Fret Sisters, and like us on Facebook with Fret Sisters 1. You will catch up with us behind the scenes, get all the tea on what us founders are doing individually outside of Fret Sisters.
Well, there's just a couple of things that I just want to comment on what you just said. First, the fact that you made that decision to become a full-time musician and go back to college, I definitely applaud that. And especially the fact that you're getting instruction. Like, I'm a big advocate for instruction is the best way to achieve a goal because it disciplines you, right? Yes. And then the other thing too was people like looking at you and saying, it's that label. It's like, oh, she wants to go back to school to be a guitar, to be a professional musician. You know what I mean? Like, it is taken seriously, like just because you see,
it's taken seriously.
So I think people don't have that perception.
Tell anybody to take one music theory class. Music is so much like math. It's so much like science. And I love math and science. Maybe that's why I'm so connected to it. And I love, it's a puzzle when you have to do voice leading and, writing charts and coming up with little phrases and stuff. That's what we're doing in music theory and stuff right now. And I'm like, man, I didn't know it was this deep. Like, music is so deep. And I would sit there in class. I'm like, who thought of all this stuff? Like, when you start putting the pieces together. And I appreciate my professors there because, I was very much the first week of school last year when I decided to go back. And I went back at age 36. So for anybody out there listening, it's never too late. Mm-hmm. It's never too late to go after what you truly want to do. Definitely plan, for it, unless you're in that position, you can make spontaneous decisions like that. But I couldn't, so, but yes, one of my professors was like, oh, you have it. You have what it is. But either once you get this piece unlocked he was like, it's just limitless after that. And that's what I felt. I felt stuck, because I had the YouTube channels and I would sit there and try to learn licks and this and that, and being self-taught. But like you said, the main reason I went back was for that accountability and that structure. Because hey, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I work, and this and that. Everything else becomes primary as a mother and as a wife and so forth. And music many times was at the end of the day, 11, 12 o'clock at night, maybe for a couple of minutes until I fall asleep. And I had to discipline myself. I had to put myself in that structured environment so I can learn. And that is what you said was key to why I went back.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that we've talked about before in our podcast in Between Frets is health. Health as a musician, being a mother and gigging, or being a full-time musician, or just being a musician. And I know with you, just following your journey and looking at your Instagram and Facebook page. Yes, we do that. We love you, Gudah. We notice that you're very healthy, or you do like health matters to you, especially in food, in wellness and everything. Can you give any advice or actually talk about that so that our listeners can hear more about that?
Yeah. Like I said, my second pregnancy put a lot of weight and strain on my body. And it got to the point where I was just getting so overweight and physically incapable of even walking up a flight of stairs without being winded. And I said, going down this route and this path of just living, and when you are gigging, you eat the quickest thing, the fastest thing. It's just not a priority. You just get what you can, you get to the gig. And many times is at those venues that only serve bar food. The likelihood of you sustaining a very long career or life is has a low probability, and I didn't want that for my kids. I look at some of these amazing musicians that I absolutely love, and from Jimi Hendrix to Jaco Pastorius and so forth, and the stuff that I'm like, why are they not here? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why are they not here? Like their lives are just shortened, and the gifts and the talents, they have made their mark in history. And I'm glad that I have the chance to be able to go back and listen to who these musicians were. But I'm like, man, I wish they were just still here, that I can just say hello and just touch one of them and shake their hand and stuff like that. And I said, whatever I need to do in my life to make sure on my end that I'm doing my best for my health and my wellness, not just for me, but for my children, I'm going to do that. It took a minute for me to, make health my focus, but I started going to these guitar summits and connecting with other musicians. And most musicians, they're very unhealthy or overweight and stuff like that. And I was like, man, we need to take this as a priority, and what about my children? I'm like, God forbid, as one of my brothers said, oh, you can go out and get hit by a car today. You can, but that's out of my control. What can you do that's in your control for your own life? And putting the right things in my mouth and in my body is the most important thing for me. Once I started doing that, oh my God, the energy that my body, I get up and feel alive every day, knowing that I'm putting live food in my body. I still snack from time to time. I'm not saying I'm extremist with, health and wellness or whatever, but whatever I can do. And it's still a daily struggle. I'm not at that point to where it's so ingrained that I have to have it every day. No, it's still a push every day, because now being back in school for my second year now, and I'm like, okay, where do I fit in my fitness and my health and wellness? So what me and my husband and my children did this summer was we started bike riding. So we all got bikes, and now I bike to school. So that because I don't want to lose, because my day is getting busier. But hey, I can find another way. I may not make it to the gym, but as long as I'm being active and as long as I'm moving my body and from being, stuck or sitting so long, that is good with me. That is good with me. And so, yes, I pack my food every day. I bought thermals and, I make my food and I take it with me. So, that is a big part. You can't minister. You won't be here if you don't take care the thing that matters most, which is you.
Totally agree. Talk about your gear really quick if you want, just like what you use, your axes, your pedals. Do you have any endorsements?
Well, I do not have any endorsements yet.
Or shout out some, hey, right now.
One day, Paul Reed Smith PRS guitars. Oh my God. Like, that was my first time because I had my mom, she wanted to buy me a guitar. My husband bought me a guitar and I was like, thank you, but no, they do not feel right. They didn't fit me as as an artist and as a musician. I was like, it's cute, and and I was very appreciative because they believe and they're very supportive in what I want to do in life. And I truly appreciate that. And I've already felt bad for having to send it back or take it back to the store. But when I put the Paul Reed Smith in my hand and I said, man, it fits my hand like a glove. It fits so good to where I have ease of playability and I felt so comfortable. And that's the main guitar that I play for everything. I have not found an acoustic guitar that I truly like. What I did this past summer was I said, well, since Paul Reed Smith guitars are so great on me, let me try their acoustics. It didn't feel the same. So I'm still on a search for a good acoustic guitar right now because you still want that acoustic sound. I do a lot of acoustic sets, which I have like 3 coming up within the next month that I'm like, I don't have an acoustic guitar for. But I normally play my electric guitar with an acoustic pedal. I do chorus and I do a distortion, just basic in a wah-wah and a EQ compressor. That's it. I'm exploring more into sounds and went to the International Musician Summit in Durham this past May, and they're amazing guitarists. And what he did with his multi-effects pedal was absolutely bananas, but it got me thinking out the box. And that's why I encourage people to stay connected to other musicians. It just helps that you see the possibilities that music isn't a one circle or one square. It doesn't go in a square. It's so broad, and it's up to us to explore that. So seeing what you can do with a multi-effects pedal that, I don't know, he put a phaser and something else together and all of a sudden it sounded like a machine gun. And we was like, where can you add that into the music? There's no way he can make that sound musical. And lo and behold, he did. So I'm still growing and learning more about getting those effects and sounds and building up my gear right now.
Oh, that's great. And you play bass too. Do you have a bass, a certain bass that you play or a preference?
Yes, I have a Ibanez sound gear that I absolutely love. I love cylinder necks. It gives me a little bit more control over playing and make me feel I have more control of the instrument than it has control over me. I have a Ibanez as well, semi hollow body. I don't like hollow bodies. It's too big for me. So, like I said, it makes me feel like I can't control it. And if I'm so focused on how something looks versus how I can make it sound, then it takes away from what I can do with it. So, what I tell people is don't just go by what other people have because it may not be the right thing for you. Definitely go and try as many guitars, instruments, strings, pedals, straps, whatever there is. Try and figure out what's best for you. It's definitely good to have people that you look up to, that you want to not imitate. Yeah, I guess imitate or sound like and stuff. That gives you somewhere to start, but still develop who you are as a musician, because you have something special that is out there too. But many times we want to sound like who we love. Oh my God, I love Christian McBride and Victor Wooten. I'm like, can I have your hand? But yeah. I was like, their gift is just a platform for me to get started, and just seeing their journey is helping me grow in who I am as a musician, because I have something so special too. It just takes time getting to know who I am, your gear. Like I said, my dad set up my gear and everything for me. So I never learned that until maybe about 6-7 years ago. So, hey, get to know your instruments and your gear very well.
Yeah, that's some great advice right there. Are you working on any solo projects, or what else are you working on besides being a student, a mom, superwoman, a wife, an EMT?
Yes, I know. I love all those things and definitely get into health and wellness. I do one day want to be a fitness trainer, a fitness instructor, a motivational speaker. Those are all things that come with an awesome platform. But music is truly what I want to do full time as my career right now. I just honestly, this January, being in school was my second semester, and I didn't understand, like, we go through those moments of just soul seeking and soul searching, and it wasn't until January or sometime mid-January when I realized, I said, I'm a guitarist. It took me a while to accept what my true gifts and passion is, because I thought this was just what my dad gave me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, he made me pick this thing up or whatever. And it takes getting to know you as a person and what you truly love and what you can and can't live without. And what my husband also used to always tell me, he still tells me to this day, can you do it without even getting paid for it? And would you still love it? And I said, yeah. Like, it took me a minute to really like, I love music. I love playing guitar. I love performing. And so that's what I'm doing right now, and is making that transition full time. Like I said, I'm giving my resignation in today as an EMT. That part of my life has definitely molded me to be who I am now, but it's time to move on to that next chapter in my life, and definitely go with some fire under my feet after what I truly love. So
that's great. Like, everything you've been talking about is just so inspirational that I'm sure even somebody who's just starting out, young or old, is probably taking a lot of good advice from this podcast right now. But is there anything else? I mean, seriously, no. I mean, even me, I'm just like so inspired. I love you, girl. Anything else that you can offer for any female musician, just musician in general, that wants to take that next step?
What I struggled with, and I do have a young lady that I do give bass lessons to, and she's 16 years old. And what I'm trying to instill in her is some things that I didn't get as a young budding musician, and it's just that confidence. I notice, and I don't mean this in any type of derogatory way, what I've seen with a lot of female musicians is that the confidence level is very low because our counterparts, with male musicians, it's a male dominated industry. It's a male dominated instrument for centuries. We have to believe more in our gifts and our talents. We have to stand tall. When you're performing on stage, stand tall with your head up high, baby. Like, what I want people to see and understand is that what you don't know, find a way to learn it. Practice. What we learn in school is the art of practice. You can hear music all day and play, but once you practice and get those, trouble spots and those parts in music that you don't understand, and just build your confidence level up day after day, it'll just make you as a musician a whole lot better in your confidence level, and just understanding that, I'm sorry to say, and this is how I've been my whole life. Now I'm really I'm putting the pieces together. As I used to say before then, I used to want to be like my brothers, and this is how I feel now. And it's like, my counterparts, I'm sorry, anything you can do, I can do better. And that's how I kind of push myself to be better. It's like, man, if they can do it, I know I can do it. And maybe even better if I just keep going after it. You know what I'm saying? So I just tell so many female musicians, man, I'm telling you, you got this. Your confidence level in your musicianship and your love for what you do, make it a priority. Get in that shed and just get in there and just start grinding those scales. Do your music theory. Learn the stuff that will help you communicate better with other musicians. It took me until last year to figure that out, and so I know it now. My confidence level has went to the sky and the moon and back, and I can communicate. I understand music better, and not only understand it, when you get into a chance or to a position where you have to improv and solo, it just makes you and your ministry and what you have to say. Music is a language, as Victor Wooten says, and you have something to say, but when you don't know, it's like, you start stuttering. I had a speech impediment my whole life. But when you start just getting the foundation, the fundamentals, and learn that stuff, learn it. It's not hard. But once you get it, you got it, and then you just run with it.
And that's just perfect for what Fret Sisters is all about. And our podcast here is that I think confidence is the key thing. Just like you said, I just love that advice, that to be confident in yourself, and it's a hard thing to do. I love that. I mean, definitely is our message here with just everything. So, gosh, you hit it on the spot. If you want to go ahead and give out your social media.
Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Gudah82, Gudah, the number 8 and 2. And on Facebook, Danielle Gudah Walcott, Walcott. Right now, no solo projects, no music. I'm just playing with other artists and so forth. One day I'll be on tour, so look out for me and come support. But I'm excited to just what you all are doing. I am super stoked about what you're doing, because we definitely need a platform like this for us women as musicians to stay connected and motivated, to encourage one another, to uplift one another. Y'all are a powerful force right now, and I truly appreciate what y'all doing.
And we truly appreciate you for giving us the time to do this interview with us, and being out there to be an inspiration to everybody. And follow Gudah on her social media. We'll be seeing you on tour. I already know it. I can feel it.
Awesome. I'm excited. Well, listen, I talk a lot, so if y'all want to have me on again, let me know. I got more to say.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we are planning a new season with new topics, and I've already been discussing with the group about doing certain podcasts, specializing in certain things, and bringing in some of our past guests to talk about it, that they, about stuff.
I'm so excited for y'all.
I know. Awesome. So I really, really want to bring you back just to discuss a topic. So you'll be hearing from us. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. So in closing, we want to thank Gudah again for her time and her great words and talking about her journey. This is Fret Sisters Between Frets. If you need to get in contact with us, be sure to look us up on Instagram at Fret Sisters, or you can email us at fretsistersmusic@gmail.com. Again, I want to thank you, Gudah, for taking the time for interviewing with us. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. Y'all enjoy your day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.